Good evening. Thanks for joining us. It was the deadliest weather event in Canadian history. We now know the true death toll of last year's heat dome. 619 people lost their lives, and government agencies were ill prepared. Just some of the findings in a coroner's review panel outlining what needs to be done to make sure the vulnerable survive the next extreme weather emergency. CTV's Binder Sujjan joins us live with more on this. So, Binder, what needs to happen to make sure this type of horrific situation doesn't happen again?
Yeah, Mijung, it was certainly tragic. If you think about this, over the course of that 1 week when we had that heat dome last year, the number of sudden deaths in the province quadrupled. So one group of experts is saying to prevent that, we need to change the way we live. Higher income neighborhoods often have lots of trees and shade to keep the area cool. Contrast that with lower income regions with fewer trees, less open space, more people, and often buildings without air conditioning. During last year's heat dome, a disproportionate number of people in these neighborhoods died.
I was shocked when I heard what happened last year with the deaths.
Yeah. That was more in the city, wasn't it?
Yeah.
3/4 of those who perished due to extreme heat lived in Metro Vancouver and the Fraser Valley.
People didn't take it as seriously as we perhaps now think we should have taken it, and we're all guilty of that. You know, there was also some lag related to agencies that weren't ready.
A coroner's death review panel found all public agencies failed to warn people about the dangers posed by extreme temperatures in a timely way. Hundreds of vulnerable people lost their lives.
How many of us, hand on heart, actually took the time to go and knock on someone's door and ask them if they were okay? How many of us actually realized that there was an actual significant heat event actually going on?
The burden fell on emergency responders to help, and the report notes the system was overwhelmed. Most of those who died were in lower resource neighborhoods and had chronic health conditions.
I do think that the report needs to go much further in terms of its recommendations, particularly around supporting disabled people, elderly folks, and low-income people in our communities and neighborhoods.
The final death toll is a tragic 619 people. Most of them died indoors, were 70 or older, and didn't have adequate cooling systems. People with disabilities facing further challenges. Environmentalists point out climate change means extreme weather will be more common.
Every municipal, regional, provincial, and federal government has got to take this seriously and make the investments to be prepared.
Some of the report's recommendations include better alerting, rebates for cooling systems, and providing air conditioners to lower-income individuals. The province says most of the work is underway.
People dying from heat, it's a failure of the way that we live. It's not a failure of the health system, it's a failure of the way that we live.
In BC, homes are usually designed to keep heat in. Now the challenge, how to keep it out. And the report also details a heartbreaking scenario for both first responders and those looking for help, finding in cases where paramedics were called, by the time they arrived, 83% of patients were already dead or died at the scene.
Binder, so tragic. What about the changes, though, to the homes we live in? And what is the panel recommending about that?
Yeah, they're really looking for rebates for, home renovations, and also saying that the building code needs to be changed so that cooling systems and passive cooling requirements are put in place. Now, of course, when many of us think of cooling, we think of air conditioning, which, of course, just adds to the problem of climate change. Mijung?
Thank you, Binder.